Thus, you could tell that these interim assignments and appointments coming in are quite, the timing is quite imperative with what we're going through, which is economic transformation, that particular point. So you could say that there is some kind of political affiliation that into that particular space, but we don't know, like we say. But the timing is just too conducive for us to make that type of speculation going forth. Yeah.
All right. Let's speak about how the absence of these permanent leaders affects stakeholder confidence as well. Speaking about how much we don't have time, and Botswana Economic Transformation Program, we need investors, we also need partners also. How is this going to affect our economy, both internally and externally, putting into consideration the fact that we need investors right now?
I think let's start off the conversation by mentioning quite well that what we're going through as a country is not, as always been mentioned, it's not a cyclical thing. It's much more of a structural change, right? So Diamonds Are Forever story is actually coming really untrue at this particular point in time. So the economic transformation plan right now, it's focused on trying to build the private sector through investment confidence and whatsoever. So if you take organizations like, or parastatals like BDC, this particular point, they do need to maintain investor confidence to show that we are a stable organization, and we do have a plan in terms of like which investment areas and priority areas to go for as an institution in this particular space. So they do need to maintain that particular investor confidence going forth. Because if there is no investor confidence, then whatever we're trying to achieve at this point, trying to attract and try to build the private sector through FDI, we're not going to see that. And let me also point out that we have seen a decline in FDI since 2009 up until now. There's been a gradual decline in FDI, in Botswana at this particular point. So you would say that at this point, there has to be, within the strategic SOEs, there has to be some stability. There has to be surety that we're saying we will support any private investment coming in from outside. And we have these organizations to support that. We have BDC, we have either BQA, whichever, that is very strategic in trying to support these particular organizations and the whole value chain of an investment coming into Botswana as well.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Also looking at how our SOEs operate, giving us a bit of light in that, because we want to talk about the continuity aspect of things. As you've already said, having interim leaders might not help us going forward with carrying the mandate forward seamlessly. So how are the boards also involved? Are they overpowering the acting CEO? How does that happen so that we can also help us understand the continuity and accountability going forward?
I think that's a very good question. I think we need to understand right now what is the role of a board in an organization and also in a parastatal. Yeah. Now, it's to try to maintain accountability for the individual who's been bestowed what we call as a fiduciary duty, to say that they owe a fiduciary duty to the investors and stakeholders within the particular organization. In this case now, they have to hold accountable the CEO, if it's a parastatal, hold accountable the CEO to maintain that particular fiduciary duty aspect of things, and also to ensure that there is achievement of public interest within the operations of the parastatal itself from that particular point. Now, is the board, recently do we see the boards acting within their right to conduct such? Yes, they are acting within their rights to conduct as such, but they shouldn't hold too much power in the sense that now they impose fear into the CEO, because if they impose fear, there could be an aspect, a risk of short-termism, where now the incoming or the interim CEO is afraid to step on the toes of the board. They should just maintain oversight, maintain accountability, and try to scrutinize the vision itself. Does it make sense towards achievement of the national plan in this particular point? We're going through economic transformation. Do we think that particular plan within or vision within the CEO itself, that we see that achieving the objectives of the transformation plan that we were going forth. I think there shouldn't be any fear for coming in from the board. I don't know if with the recent suspensions, the interim CEOs, do we see them acting very objectively, or coming in with an aspect of fear for the board, which shouldn't be the case. Right. So that could stifle achieving the mandates that they should be achieving as parastatals. Yeah.
Most definitely. All right. Let's also get into the sustainability and continuity of the leadership. What are the mechanisms that should be in place? If we're having a new CEO or an interim CEO acting, or caretaker as has been announced of recent, what should be those mechanisms to have in place? And also, in what stance should that CEO hold as the in leadership at that moment? And there's a bit of that uncertainty.
You mean the interim CEO?
Yes.
Yeah. No, the interim CEO, like I said, business continuity and stability within the organization itself, and try to maintain and build up a conducive environment for whoever is going to be taking upon, the role itself on a full-time basis, right? So, at this point, we're having an interim CEO who's been brought in, like we say, we don't know if it's politically affiliated or not, but the timing is quite matched with this economic transformation plan or agenda that we're going forth. So if the interim CEO is brought in to try to create that environment to say we're going through transformation, so we need to pivot that particular point, then that would be the most imperative conversation to have with the interim CEO and bring in the CEO coming into place. I don't know if I've answered your question in a way you want me to answer. Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things that we want to see in the CEO or the incoming CEO is to see if they're going to continue what has been left by the one that just left. And if it so happens that they have to leave again, what are those mechanisms to have in place to make sure that there's continuity, that the mandate of the organization itself, the SOE itself, is seamlessly continued and done with ease? I think that's what I mean.
I mean, succession plan, you talk about a succession plan. In that place, the CEO would bring in what we call a team of executives for them. So you'd have the CFO, the COO, whichever stands in that particular space, to say, look, in my absence, then this particular individual will take upon that particular aspect. But like I said, we have to be careful about this particular conversation, because if we allow us to sit in a place where CEOs are dismissed or suspended when and whenever, that means the strategic drive for the SOE would go adrift, because the individual, either be the CFO stepping in or what we saw with the chief investment officer coming in from BDC, the aspect is, this is not my team, this is not my vision. So I'm not going to be able to take the risk that I need to be taking. So at this particular point, like I said, where are we as a country? A 0.4% contraction. This is being optimistic, by the way.
Yeah.
A downturn in diamonds was, we have to change. We have to go through economic resuscitation and transformation at a particular point. So if you have an individual who would say, I'm only here for the short term, so I need to just maintain business continuity. The business continuity is aligned with what's been happening when diamonds were still forever in that particular space. But in this particular point, transformation, no, I don't think it would be conducive to have that. So we need to be careful of that. But to maintain succession, you need to have individuals who would be deputies to that particular CEOs to ensure that. But we also have to have a plan where to maintain the aspect of, say, should the CEO leave, or the unfortunate case where there is an illness or whatever, then who should take over and how should they take over? Maybe the interim CEO should be given a 3-year period, whatsoever, maybe a 2-year period, not to just say it's interim up until we'll find a suitable individual. When is that going to be? Yeah.
All right. I think you said something very key right there. Like you're saying, we should be very careful about our conversation. That's what you said. So in that case, I think it's taking us back to the reasons behind us being here at this moment. The fact that we don't have the full reasons, we don't know the exact reasons why there had to be suspensions in place. Could we say at the moment, I mean, right now you are speaking really and rightly so, how it is not the right time for us to be making such moves. Could it be that should we find out any other reason that that there could be some substantial reasons for us to be having these suspensions taking place and leading us here, that those decisions could be rightly done?
Well, I mean, in most cases, if some of the CEOs were suspended due to maybe like allegedly the BQA CEO was suspended because of mismanagement, allegedly, as has been stated, and there has been complaints, and we did see a petition with the BMC as well, employees as well, with the previous CEO in that particular space. So maybe the suspension, like I said, the board is within its right to suspend. There's an issue of accountability which is just false, and there's no achievement of the mandate and the vision itself that the CEO was supposed to come up with is not living up to that particular expectation. But I mean, like I said, the board is within its rights. The timing for this, for these appointments, keeping in mind that we are going through economic transformation, maybe this could be the right move. Maybe this is good, yeah. It's a maybe. We're not too sure. Like up until we know why some of these CEOs have been suspended, and there has been, is it suspension or is it an issue where they have been now dismissed from their roles? Then we can literally take that conversation. But I think I would be interested in understanding when we say interim, like the interim CEO for CEDA, how long are they going to be taking on that particular range so that they can try to maintain their own mandate and their own vision for that 3 years and see what they can achieve in that particular point.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. All right. Now, this is going to be my last question to you. I think in addition to that, you can also share more of any best practices given our economy right now, as you keep on stressing the 0.4% contraction as being optimistic in that case. How can institutions safeguard against governance paralysis when leadership changes? And sometimes it happens frequently, and sometimes it's influenced politically. What should be the best practices around that?
I think it's to maintain independence within the board. That's very imperative. Maintain independence from all fronts, like either be operational independence and either be political affiliation as well. It has to be independent and whatsoever. Like, we have to maintain public interest regardless, right? And there really has not to be any sort of link between the board chair or the board members with any political party or within any political individual in the particular space. Like I said, we're not supposed to have boards where they inflict fear within the CEOs. That's when things go wrong at that particular point, right? So they have to maintain independence regardless of everything that goes into that. And then they do not set the tone for the organization. Boards should not set the tone. They should just govern. They should just try to have an oversight. The vision should be set by the CEO, not the board itself. They should probably just approve and say this is a strategy, but this should be the vision that's been set by the CEO. If we see a board coming in and setting the vision for an organization, then you know that there's no independence. Then you know that they are going in for their own interest. There's a conflict of interest within that particular space. So they have to maintain independence operationally and also from a political stance at that particular point. Yeah.
All right. Well, Mr. Boitshoko, thank you so much for this conversation this morning. We're looking forward to getting more information and of course, well-proven information so that we can have this discussion even further. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. That was Mr. Bame Boitshoko, an economist, of course. We're speaking what it means when state-owned enterprises keep on having these changes, these suspensions on leaderships or CEOs, what it means for them, what it means also for our economy, and how we can cope with that and deal with that. So, Lala, we can, Sarona.